They're going to kill the love of my life.
Casey!
If I don't go back to what I was doing.
Our line of work is quite brutal and quite ruthless.
How far would you go for love?
You steal truck, bring it to me. Then you make your money.
Is it dangerous?
Of course it's dangerous!
Nicholas Hoult, Felicity Jones, with Ben Kingsley and Anthony Hopkins.
All this trouble, all this pain, for love.
Collide. Now playing. Rated PG-13. May be inappropriate for children under 13.
Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning. It's Thursday, and you have reached Venus Unplugged, your virtual heartbreak hotel. This is your host, Llorraine Neithardt, and what this podcast is about is everything that has to do with love, the good, the bad, the devastating, the transformative. And so if you want to download, I've got to say this all the time, you can download these episodes from iTunes or Blog Talk Radio. If you sign up with Blog Talk Radio, they'll send you the episode. Or you can go to my website, LorraineNeithardt.com, and see all the different podcasts, all things about love. So what we are working on now, exploring, discovering, bringing into our life, is the myth, the ancient myth of Isis and Osiris, the absolute love story, and it is a love that lives through death, life and death, and these are the great Egyptian mysteries. And what is interesting is during this period of time, there were festivals, okay, and like Isis is... we have the dark Isis, which is her mysteries, and we have the green Isis, which is nature, healing. So she is the goddess of 10,000 names. So you cannot outname her. She's the go-to girl. And Isis is like Demeter. Demeter, if you remember, is the one whose daughter, Persephone, is taken from her, and that's where the mysteries, the ancient Greek mysteries and festivals of the divine feminine come. But here with older than that is Isis, and her two great festivals were in the spring and in the autumn. And so we, on October 31st, which is today, that this festival consisted of, it's like a passion play. And this festival lasts from October 31st till November 3rd. Now, of course, these dates differ depending on your research, but I'm going for the October 31st to November 3rd. And this festival was the seeking and the finding of the body of Osiris. Osiris was her beloved. It was her brother, her king, her husband, her lover. And he was chopped up in 14 pieces, and Isis had to go around and collect those pieces. So this is the seeking and the finding. And she finds all the pieces except the phallus, and of course he's now in the underworld, and she kind of creates this immaculate conception. So what does that mean for us in our lives? Because today I want to look at the sorrows of Isis. Also because in the world right now, there is immense sorrow. I don't know one person who isn't either witnessing death or facing death or facing some great sorrow. It is very, very intense. And the only way that we can relate to this is, in a sense, to experience it fully. If death and sorrow or loss is at your door, don't close the door. Learn to work with this, because a broken heart is an open heart. An open heart can learn compassion and wisdom. So that's what these teachings are about. And also the whole mystery of Isis and Osiris is also about the celebration of life, but also the celebration of death, endings, loss. And when we can find place in our heart and our being for loss and grief and joy and love. We're much fuller human beings. So we want to start to look at, what is this sorrow of Isis? What are these kind of swamplands of the soul that because myth always points to, it's like a hidden code. It points to how to relate to these impossible states of suffering. We need guidance. And the ancient mysteries are not, okay, you'll get over it, you'll be cool, make a wish, blah, blah, blah. No. These states come and visit us, and they're going to stay. And if we don't experience it to the fullness, we really never quite learn to love. It becomes superficial and narcissistic, but not deeply knowing, okay? So these kind of swampland states of love, okay, grief and loss. What is this about? It's about the rhythm of life and death. They're opposites, but they're one. One informs the other. And that's important to recognize, to breathe in, to be still. Now, of course, the first reaction to loss is, I don't want this, I don't need this, get out of here, this doesn't work for me. I get kind of terrified when people are cavalier like that. Because it's like, really, it doesn't work for you? Well, this is life, and if we only want half of life, we are only going to be half people, and we're never going to be able to have a relationship to all of life. So when we start to understand that, life has this rhythm of attachment and loss. Some are small losses, little losses. We just, every day we begin the day and then we lose the light. We go into our dreams, okay? But we're always standing within and around and through these great mysteries of life, wherever we are. We don't have to go to a special sacred place for special sacred things, and although that's cool and fun to do, just look at your life, all right? And loss, it's so difficult to bear because something has been taken from us. Now, it can be the loss of a cherished idea. It can be the loss that you've projected some great honor upon the beloved, and then you realize, oh, man, they're only human, and they can't carry that. And I'm burdening them by wanting them to be a hero or be there for you when they cannot be because they don't have it to give, okay? Those kinds of losses, the great loss, I had a great loss, probably one of the greatest of my life last week, which is why I didn't broadcast, was the loss. I usually get warned about these things, but I was not, about my beloved Egyptian Mao cat, Faith. And so it's my turn. And whether I like it or not, I've got to work with this energy. So the loss is difficult because, it's something we love or something we think we can't live without. It's taken from us. So when we grieve, the purpose of the grieving is an honest acknowledgement that one has been gifted. I was gifted with this profoundly, she was truly my soul animal. And the gravity, to carry, to bear this sorrow, my task right now. And I'll do it with my whole heart because I was given this gift, this profound love that will now move into another form in another way. And we get stuck in this place of loss, and that's natural. So there are no rights and wrongs here, and somebody can mourn for 72 hours, and people can mourn for years. There's no right or wrong to this. But But that place, when we experience the loss, it's on all levels. We really feel like we can't move. But by acknowledging the loss, that's why we have funerals and all these things, okay? And we need to celebrate what this gift was. And then go forth into the service of life. That's the counterbalance of the powerlessness of loss. The opposite of that is the letting go at the appropriate hour. Okay? That's the most important thing. Now, you cannot rush that. And people can be very cruel to someone who's mourning. Not necessarily do they mean it, but they don't understand that when we're mourning, when we're grieving, when we're in that state of loss, we are in the state of the greatest mystery of life. And a mystery is a place of being, not doing. So it's Isis in the dark Isis, the black Isis, the mysteries, the magic, the forbidden, the unknown. And how does one stand before a mystery? That's very important to comprehend. How do you relate to loss? I think it's important to feel it. I mean, if one needs to do almost like a performance piece, I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean, really writhe, really throw ashes, really grieve at the depths. My beloved friend Isabel is going to be doing a despacho on Saturday for my faith, and I will bring my friends, and we will gather, and then we will celebrate. I will still be in the grieving. I will still be in this great mystery. But because I was gifted this love, I will consciously suffer this and see and feel and move my way through. I mean, some days are more perfect than others, okay? So, one of the tasks that you may want to do, because I don't know a person who isn't facing something like this, all right? Write a thank you note or write a love letter to life. We forget. That would be kind of spiritual etiquette. That all that love life gives and takes and teaches, and I mean, it's profound. It never ceases to be refining us again and again and again. Now, if you are called to witness sorrow or grief or loss, it may not be your own, maybe a friend or a co-worker, a stranger. I mean, how do we stay in right relationship? So you need to beware when you're called to witness another's loss or disappointment or sorrow. Do not steal the moment. It's their call into mystery. And we don't understand, but people will say, well, you created this, or, well, that's your karma, or when are you going to get over it? Or you'll suggest something that will take them into life. They're not ready to go into life yet. They're not supposed to. They're in the state of the mystery. And you're busting up that mystery with your suggestions. Keep your mouth shut. Witness. People prematurely want to fix before they can feel the depths of what's going on. So if you've been called into a mystery, that's where you've been called. And if you have to witness a friend or a beloved or anyone's call into this mystery of death and sorrow and loss, you're not allowed to ease that. You can make it safe. You can mirror. You can hold a space. The time will come when your suggestions will be heard. Write them on a piece of paper and give it to them later, all right? But just be silent and witness, knowing that one day meaning will come out of this. But if we get too busy too quickly into the meaning, without the process, nothing will happen. It will just be empty. And we can hear it, when people say things that, it's like, man, you're saying that, but you've never experienced that because you couldn't possibly be saying that shit if you knew this level of sorrow. Most people are terrified of loss and grief and death. That's part of our cultural default. We really need to learn to relate. It's as if death and loss and grief is negative. It's not negative. It's part of the mystery of life, this ebb and this flow. And it's the one guarantee that we're going to have. So don't you think it's time to start including it in our awareness? And that's also what Heartbreak Hotel is about, is being able to maintain and contain this mystery so that we do, that one day the meaning will come. And the meaning arrives. And the day that the meaning arrives, it soothes our sorrow or our trauma or our loss. And that's part of the mysteries of Isis. When she is seeking her beloved Osiris, she travels throughout Egypt, finding his broken up pieces. His body's been dismembered by his evil brother Seth, okay? So when a person or yourself, okay, and you've gone through the dark night of the soul in search of meaning, it's like you are part of the mysteries of the Isis Osiris. And we need to understand that, and we don't want to get to the end. Let's get the dessert. Let's get the happy place. Let's get the meat. No. Drink the bitter broth. That's the most healing. Now, I'm not saying to be sadistic or even masochistic, but related. Drop it from the head, which thinks it has all the answers, the place of the ego, and drop it into the heart that knows, I must sit with this. And we look at all of our different rituals that we have around death and sorrow. Those are all important. They need to be lived out. Or we make up our own. Because after we've struggled with this loss and this grief and the anguish of that, and they struggle and they struggle and they struggle, and then you've earned the meaning and the understanding, and that brings wisdom. So the question is not, why did this befall me? Why is life doing this? Why did this happen? That's what always seems to be the first, like, why? That is, it's a hint that, we're looking for meaning. But rather than feeling punished, which we are not being punished, just take half of that sentence and say, let me suffer this consciously until the day comes that I am gifted with meaning. Because the gift we're given, the gift is then taken away. And by doing this journey into the underworld, the dark night of the soul, all right, we one day will be given meaning. Sometimes we can't articulate that meaning because it is so profound. It is beyond words. That's when we know with the eyes of death. We're looking at something, we know it, and we're clear. And that's also what compassion is. People who are developing compassion or have compassion, they can feel, they can look right through the heart of the suffering and that part of the suffering. And they usually suffer greater than most people because they really know what that feeling is, but they can see through it. So the first kind of true act of compassion is to release, whether it's whatever your loss may be or the witnessing, okay? See, because the opposite of the heartbreak is that compassion. And that's a living principle. That's not something, you can't fake that one. You can speak your platitudes, but nobody's believing you. It's just, people just roll their eyes and just say, oh, that's just spiritual mumbo-jumbo. And part of the reason they say that is because there's not sincerity in that. You can think you're feeling that, but, after a great sorrow and after crawling and after really feeling the depths of that, you do know something that nobody else knows. Or it's like somebody who's gone through the process of addiction. There's a swampland, okay? They do know something. They do know something about life and death. And what's real and what's not real. And if they can move through that, they're coming out with wisdom. They're coming out with a life experience that somebody else doesn't have. So, everything in life has this amazing journey. It's innate. And most of all, it's innate in this act of loving. If you're going to love, just go for the whole enchilada. Shadow and light. Otherwise, don't bother. Otherwise, you're just neurotic. Just want the good. Well, impossible. Because the depth of love cannot grow into the compassion, and it can't be unless we have all its opposites. It's natural to pull away from suffering. So then we can just kind of settle in and go like, okay, well, I don't want to jump into this, but this is at my door. The gift will be wisdom or insight or knowing, which is eternal. Wisdom and love are eternal principles. They're not something we lose when we leave this planet. So, if you're fortunate, you'll hit the wall of truth. And then you'll be wondering, what the hell were you doing with your life? Because that's what, sudden loss and death, it's like that's one of the questions. Like, whoa, what am I doing here? And then we tell ourselves the story again and again and again until we can get some meaning out of it. And that's a very, very important part of being human, is being able to tell the story again and again until an insight comes. And this period of time, and particularly with these transits that are going on, so these are all, this is, just a hint at the mysteries and the sorrows of Isis and and also the sorrows of the feminine. That grief. And the feminine in men, their sorrow, that they very often are denied their right to mourn or to feel, because that's not manly. So we're all up for big and profound changes. And in the heart of this sorrow and grief and suffering is the compassion that sees through the heart of suffering. And in that still and holy place, we're healed and that we actually feel life even greater when we can go into this. Well, not exactly. We're just drop-kicked into it most of the time. Most people wouldn't pick it, okay? So remember, the opposite of heartbreak is compassion. Learning to perceive the suffering as it is, not what you want it to be. And if you think you got the answer right away, you know what? Go back in the swamplands, because you don't know shit. When you really don't know anymore, okay, and you're out of answers, and there's no books or prayers or jingle bells or drugs or shoes that are going to appease you, then you are in the heart of mystery. You're before the Great Mother, Isis, who teaches. So this heart of the pain and suffering, the Greek, and compassion and love are necessities. You know, we can have ruthless compassion, and we can have a wrathful compassion. We can have tender, wise compassion, many, many different forms of compassion. So the little heart task, if you wish to go into this, or you can share this with a friend, is like, tell me something that makes you cry. Just so you can feel that. Feel that touching. This is not mean. It's just the tears are the holy water of the soul. It's an ancient rite where you catch your first tear on your heartbreak, and that holds all the wisdom. So, and opening up your heart to be loved beyond your imagination. Because the heart is still opening. That's the whole purpose of heartbreak, is to open the heart. And another task, if you wish, is there's draw a tree, the tree of sorrow. What would that feel like? What would that be like? Because the tree also is the symbol of the self. Or there's a lot of traditions where you tie prayer notes onto the tree, or people put a yellow band around the tree. That's an ancient rite of passage. And that tree becomes the tree of sorrow. It will be reborn, all right? So by drawing that tree or going to a tree or feeling that and being able to say, okay, you may not be the one who's directly in touch with this mystery. A friend may be. Hold that space. Witness. Leave your suggestions at the door. Because you don't know. And that's a huge assumption. And if you're going to share, try to share with a wise person. Try to share with somebody who knows the depth of that sorrow. Those are the ones that can withstand your suffering without trying to fix you. It's a theft. You are before a great mystery. So the Queen has told me, I've got 90 seconds left here, and this always happens. Heavens to Murgatroyd. So this is Llorraine Neithardt. What's my, I'm so into the sorrow. Okay, I'm trying to get back to this reality, is LorraineNeithardt.com, or you can call for reading or go on my website, and I'm starting to do a blog. Download this, tell the world, and be present. You are in the state of a great and holy mystery that Isis herself is teaching. There will come a time when you will understand and you will know. Not right now. So you can write and you can move and you can create your own rituals for letting go And you will see the time will come. You will know something you've never known before. And it will be a rich and deep mystery and skill at loving greatly. Next week, tell everybody. Same time, same place. Bye.
Progressive brings you Flowetry with Flo.
When Flo flows, she flows in the know. Mind ruminates the rates. Shown them all, I heed the call. Seeing the rest, I choose the best. Sometimes it's ours, sometimes it's not. When the fox walks, is it called a fox trot? That's a real question.
Compare Progressive direct rates with competitors' rates. Visit Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.